If you see this energy feeling, you're an extremely rare empath, chosen one. There are energies in this world that most people will never feel. They walk through life numb to the frequencies that vibrate just beyond the veil, unaware of the subtle shifts in emotion. They're unaware of the invisible threads that connect all living things. But then there's you who feel things so intensely that it almost aches. You who can walk into a room and instantly sense what no one is saying. You who've always felt like there was something different about you, something deeper, something unexplainable. This isn't imagination. This isn't oversensitivity. This is the mark of a rare empath. And not just an empath, but a chosen one. The world doesn't teach us how to handle this kind of sensitivity. In fact, it teaches us to suppress it. From a young age, we're told to toughen up, to stop crying, to stop overreacting. But what if those emotions weren't a flaw? What if your ability to feel so deeply, so thoroughly is actually a spiritual superpower? The truth is, the rarest empaths are born with a sacred contract, a mission. They are here not just to feel, but to transmute, to absorb the pain of the world, alchemize it, and release it as healing energy. But here's the catch. Before you can heal the world, you have to survive it. And that survival begins with recognizing one of the most mysterious and powerful signs of your calling, the energy feeling.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Have you ever felt something in your body before it even made sense in your mind? Like an invisible wave washing over you, tightening your chest, swirling in your gut, or tingling at the back of your neck. The energy feeling doesn't come with words. It doesn't offer explanations. It simply arrives sudden, mysterious, undeniable. And you felt it more times than you can count. Maybe it happened when you stood next to someone who was smiling but secretly suffering. Maybe it hit you like a storm when you walked through a place soaked in history, in memory, in grief. Maybe it visited you in the quiet hours of the night when your heart started racing for no reason and your soul whispered, "Something's coming." The energy feeling is not fear. It's not intuition alone. It's a convergence of your soul's ancient memory and your body's divine sensitivity. But it's a signal, a flare in the dark that something sacred is stirring. And if you felt it, you're not just sensitive. You're being called. Because only the rarest empaths can feel this. Only the chosen ones are tuned finely enough to pick up the frequencies of events before they happen, emotions before they're expressed, truths before they're spoken. But few talk about the price that comes with this gift. Healing everything means carrying what others cannot. It means absorbing the weight of rooms, relationships, even entire communities. And sometimes it means losing yourself in the process. Have you ever walked away from a conversation and felt utterly drained, like you'd just run a marathon with your soul? Have you ever wept after watching someone else's pain, as if it were your own? This is not weakness. This is sacred empathy, and the world needs it now more than ever. Yet, being a rare empath isn't just about emotion. It's about transformation. You are an energetic filter, a vessel through which pain is turned into wisdom. But only if you learn to master your gift. And mastery begins with awareness. The next time that energy feeling rises, pause. Don't run from it. Don't numb it. Ask it what it's trying to tell you. Is it pointing you toward someone who needs your light? Is it warning you of a hidden truth? Is it guiding you toward a decision that your logical mind has yet to understand? This is where the journey deepens, because the energy feeling is not just a signal, it's an invitation to step into your power. But to do that, you must become fluent in the language of energy. You must learn to trust what you feel, even when it goes against logic. You must learn to protect your energy fiercely, not with walls, but with discernment. Not everyone deserves access to your field. Not everyone is capable of honoring your depth. And that's okay, because you weren't made for everyone. You were made for the few, whose lives will be transformed by your presence, your truth, your love. Let me ask you something that might shake you at your core. How many times have you betrayed your own energy to make someone else comfortable? How many times have you ignored that subtle feeling because you didn't want to seem weird, dramatic, or crazy? That self-betrayal is the greatest wound an empath can carry, and healing it is the beginning of everything. When you start honoring the energy feeling, your world begins to change. You start attracting different people's souls who see you, not just with their eyes, but with their hearts. You start aligning with places and paths that feed your spirit instead of draining it. You stop chasing validation and start embodying truth, because no one can validate what is sacred. It just is. There is a reason you were born with this sensitivity. There is a reason you've always felt like you were carrying more than your share. You are a lighthouse in a stormy sea. And like every lighthouse, your job is not to go out and save every ship. Your job is to stand tall, shine bright, and trust that those who are meant to find you will. But to do that, you must first recognize the feeling, that subtle hum, that inner stirring, that invisible force that whispers, "Pay attention." Because if you see this energy feeling, if you feel it, know it, live it, you are not just an empath. You are one of the rarest, a chosen one, and the world has been waiting for you to remember. The hidden map inside your pain, how empaths are secretly guided by energy. There's a mystery hidden inside the pain that most people run from, or a code, a map, a divine blueprint etched into the moments that broke you, the feelings that overwhelmed you, and the energies that you never asked to feel but couldn't avoid. As empaths, especially the rarest among us, we are not just emotional beings. We are energetic navigators. And while others walk through life guided by logic, routine, or ambition, we are pulled by something far more subtle and powerful. Energy currents hidden inside emotion, intuition, and pain. Every time you felt like you were drowning in someone else's sadness, or overwhelmed in crowds for no clear reason, or suddenly anxious in a place that seemed perfectly normal to others, that was the map trying to speak to you. Every time your body reacted before your mind could explain, every time your heart contracted in the presence of someone smiling with their mouth but screaming with their soul, that was guidance. You are not broken. You are tuned, and the pain you've carried is not a burden. It's a compass. But here's the secret most people never realize. For empaths, pain is not just something to heal, it's something to read. It speaks, it guides, it reveals. Your sensitivity to emotional energy is divine technology. And when you learn how to decode it, you begin to move through life with an almost supernatural precision. You feel when to say yes and when to walk away. You sense when someone's words are aligned with their energy and when they're not. You know, and that knowing is sacred. The problem is, most of us were never taught to trust it. We were told we were too emotional, too intense, too much. So we shut down. We tried to be normal. We tried to numb what we felt so we could survive in a world that doesn't honor energy. And in doing so, we got lost. We ignored the map. We wandered into jobs, relationships, and spaces that looked right on the outside but felt wrong on the inside. And eventually, something inside us broke. Not because we were weak, but because we were out of alignment with our truth. Let me ask you something that might stop you in your tracks. What if the pain you've been trying to escape is actually the instruction manual for your soul's mission? What if your deepest heartbreak wasn't just a wound, but a doorway? A portal into your most sacred power? Think about the moment that hurt you the most. The betrayal, the loss, the isolation. Now look at who you became because of it. Look at what you began to feel, notice, understand. That wasn't just suffering. That was awakening. The pain cracked you open so you could receive information that most people will never access. It taught you empathy not as a concept, but as a lived experience. It turned you into a mirror for others, a vessel, a healer. But to fully step into that, you have to stop running from the pain and start listening to it. When your energy feels off, don't panic, pause. Ask it, what are you trying to show me? When you feel drained after being around someone, don't just blame them, ask yourself what boundary was crossed. When you feel a sudden wave of sadness or anxiety, don't assume it's random. Tune in. It could be your gift alerting you to something deeper, something beyond the physical, beyond the obvious. This is what separates a rare empath chosen one from someone who's just emotionally sensitive. But we don't just feel, we interpret. We don't just absorb, we translate. We don't just hurt, we heal. And in doing so, we light the way for others who are still lost in the dark. But here's something else you need to know. The map inside your pain doesn't just guide you away from danger, it also leads you toward your destiny. The same energy that makes you feel overwhelmed in chaos also draws you into alignment with soul-level opportunities. You've probably noticed it before, how you just know when someone is meant to be in your life, or when a place feels like home, or when an idea lights you up from the inside out. That's not coincidence. That's your energy field recognizing divine resonance. The more you honor that, the more life begins to open in ways you never imagined. You'll find yourself at the right place at the right time. You'll start having conversations that feel fated, connections that feel ancient, experiences that feel orchestrated by something far beyond logic. That is the reward of following the map. That is the path of the chosen empath. And yes, it's not an easy path, but it is a sacred one, because you were never meant to follow the crowd. You were meant to follow energy, and energy never lies. The sacred isolation that activates your empathic awakening. There is a silence that only the rarest empaths know, a silence so deep it echoes through every corner of your being. It's not the silence of peace, not at first. It's the silence of isolation. That sacred, aching space where it feels like no one truly understands what you're experiencing. Where the world becomes distant and your own inner landscape begins to grow louder, more intense, more alive. At first, it feels like abandonment, like you've been cast out, forgotten, unseen. But if you look deeper, if you sit with that silence long enough, something extraordinary begins to happen. The isolation isn't punishment, it's preparation. You see, the chosen empath must be pulled away from the noise of the world to hear the whisper of the soul. And that whisper is easily drowned out in the chaos of everyday life, in the expectations of others, in the constant need to perform, please, and prove. So life, in its infinite intelligence, begins to strip those distractions away. People leave, roles dissolve. The old version of you begins to crumble. And in that strange space between what was and what's yet to come, you are left alone but not truly alone. You are in the womb of your own becoming. Ask yourself this, with absolute honesty: have you ever entered a season of life where everything familiar disappeared all at once? Where relationships, dreams, even your own identity stopped making sense? That wasn't failure. That was the sacred isolation. That was the universe pulling you inward so you could remember who you are without the noise, without the masks, without the world telling you who to be. Because the truth is, empaths are not meant to be molded by the world, they are meant to remold the world from the inside out. But to do that, you must first face yourself, without distractions, without escape. And that's where the pain of isolation becomes alchemy. It's in those long nights of not knowing what's next that the old emotional debris begins to rise to the surface. The grief you never fully felt, the anger you were taught to suppress, but the fear you pretended didn't exist. It all comes up not to haunt you, but to heal you. Because you cannot embody your full empathic power while carrying emotional residue that doesn't belong to you. You begin to realize that much of what you've been feeling all your life wasn't even yours. The anxiety in your chest, maybe it was your mother's. The fear of abandonment, maybe it came from a generational wound passed down like an invisible torch. And when you're always surrounded by people, it's easy to stay entangled in their energy, mistaking it for your own. But in isolation, you start to differentiate, you start to cleanse, you start to return to your own frequency. That's when the gifts begin to activate. The sacred knowing, the intuitive downloads, the energetic clarity. You begin to see patterns in people, read emotions without words, feel future timelines before they unfold. And you realize this wasn't just sensitivity. This was preparation for something higher. The isolation was the initiation. The silence was the teacher. The loneliness was the echo of your true self calling you home. And something else shifts. You stop feeling lonely in solitude. You begin to enjoy your own presence. You begin to hear your inner voice loud and clear, and it no longer sounds like doubt or fear, it sounds like truth, like power, like purpose. You start to notice synchronicities, repeating numbers, dreams that reveal messages, encounters that feel fated. Because now your energy is clean, aligned, sovereign. You are no longer leaking your light in places it doesn't belong. And when you re-emerge from that sacred isolation, you are not the same. You are no longer looking for someone to rescue you. You are no longer chasing validation or trying to fit into boxes that were never made for you. You walk differently. You speak differently. You carry a quiet authority that comes not from ego, but from embodiment. People sense it. They feel safer around you, even if they don't understand why. You've become a lighthouse not because you were told to be one, but because you let the storm shape you into something eternal. So if you're in that season right now, if you feel like everything is falling apart and you're all alone, pause and breathe. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. You are in the chrysalis. And on the other side of this isolation is the most powerful version of you the world has ever seen. But you must be willing to go all the way in, not halfway, not with one foot in the old world, all the way in, into the silence, into the truth, into your soul. Because that's where the chosen ones are reborn. The final unlock, how rare empaths are meant to shape the future of humanity. You didn't come here just to feel. You came here to transform, here to be a living bridge between the seen and the unseen, between the chaos of a wounded world and the harmony of a higher consciousness. You, the rare empath, the chosen one, are not here by accident. You were born into this moment in time for a reason. And that reason is becoming louder, more urgent, more undeniable. This world is shifting. Systems are collapsing. The old paradigms are dying. And in the rubble, something sacred is waiting to emerge. But it will not emerge without you. Because you are the frequency holder, the code carrier, the one with the heart sensitive enough to feel what others deny and the courage to act on it. We often think of empaths as passive, as gentle souls who just absorb and survive. But that's only half the story. The real power of the empath is not just in feeling, it's in transmutation. You take in pain and you return it as compassion. You take in fear and you return it as wisdom. You take in darkness and you return it as light. That is alchemy. That is mastery. And that is the calling of the rare empath in this time of great awakening. But here's the final unlock. Your sensitivity is not just for survival. It's for leadership. Not the kind of leadership that stands on stages or craves attention. The kind that shifts energy just by entering a room. The kind that listens deeply, speaks truth with love, and dares to hold space for healing when others run from it. This is the leadership the future needs. And it begins with you fully owning who you are, without apology, without shrinking, without compromise. So many empaths hide. They dim their light to avoid judgment, to avoid overwhelming others. But the time for hiding is over. The world doesn't need another people pleaser. It needs your full frequency, your radical presence, your embodied truth. Because when you show up fully, you give permission to others to do the same. You create ripples that extend far beyond what your logical mind can comprehend. Let me ask you something that could change everything. What would happen if you stopped seeing your empathy as a curse and started seeing it as your mission? What would change if you stopped managing your energy just to survive and started channeling it to build, to lead, to create? Because that's what you're here for. You are not here just to feel what's wrong, you are here to birth what's next. And yes, it will be hard. You will still feel more than most. You will still be misunderstood. But now, you'll know why. Now, you'll see the bigger picture. Now, you'll understand that every energy feeling, every sacred isolation, every moment of pain was preparing you for this. For now, pain. Because the future doesn't belong to those who dominate through force. It belongs to those who lead with energy, with depth, with vision. And you rare empath, chosen one, you are the future. You are the frequency that will heal families, communities, and systems. Not by fixing everything at once, but by standing in your truth, moment by moment, day by day, breath by breath. You don't need to change the whole world, just one heart, one space, one moment. And from there the ripples become waves, the waves become tides, and the tides become the turning of a new age. This is your time. This is your power. This is your purpose. The world has been waiting for you to remember.